The latest hearing of the January 6th committee. Today's presentation will focus on Donald Trump's pressure campaign to get state officials to overturn the election. Congressional correspondent Rachel Scott is tracking this from Capitol Hill. Good morning, Rachel.
George, good morning. And today the committee will hear directly from election workers and officials from Georgia and Arizona who stood up to that pressure campaign and came under attack because of it. This morning, the House committee investigating the January 6th insurrection is set to focus on Trump's pressure campaign on state officials to overturn the 2020 election. Trump lost Georgia, but he still called Republican Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, pushing him to find enough votes to keep Joe Biden from winning.
All I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes.
Raffensperger refused to do it, and today he will be testifying before the committee.
The people of Georgia spoke in this election. We've never found systemic fraud, not enough to overturn the election.
Also on the list of witnesses, Arizona's House Speaker Rusty Bowers, a Republican who says he also resisted pressure by Trump and his allies. He was honored at the JFK Profile and Courage Awards ceremony.
To respect the people's choice at the ballot box, these acts should not be noteworthy, nor should they be praiseworthy.
And Gabe Sterling, a top Georgia election official who said the threats against state workers have gone too far.
Someone's going to get shot, someone's going to get killed.
The committee will hear from a target of those attacks, Shay Moss, a Georgia election worker who counted ballots on election night and received death threats, falsely accused of altering the results. In her opening statement, claiming people showed up at my grandmother's home trying to bust the door down and conduct a citizen's arrest of my mom and me. And that election worker, Shay Moss, says her life was turned completely upside down because of false claims about the 2020 election. We're told today the committee will try to make the case that Trump knew his words and actions could incite violence and push forward anyway, George.
Rachel Scott, thanks. Let's bring in our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. Dan, clearly the committee, one goal of the committee is building a case for criminal prosecution of President Trump on federal charges, but that's a high bar.
It is a high bar. And first, let's start with the difference between what could be a crime and what the Department of Justice actually will move forward with as a possible crime. There are a lot of arguments that people could make about potential crimes. But I think for the Department of Justice to actually prosecute the former president of the United States, you're going to need them to believe that he knew that the attack was coming, that he was part of the actual conspiracy to attack the Capitol. And so far, we haven't heard evidence of that yet. We've heard teasing from various members of Congress who are suggesting that there could be a link, and there is going to be a day later on in these proceedings where evidence about that could be presented. But thus far, I don't think that they've reached that very high bar yet.
That's the federal case, but the president also facing a grand jury in Georgia over his efforts to pressure officials there. We're going to hear from some of those officials today.
Yeah, and you could argue that that's almost a greater threat, is the Georgia case, except that the grand jury that's hearing evidence in that case isn't even a jury that is empowered to hand up an indictment. This is a grand jury that is empowered to call witnesses, to allow prosecutors to hear from various people, but then they make a recommendation at the end. That's it, just a recommendation. So while that case is potentially more threatening, the way that grand jury is set up makes me think that the district attorney there also isn't necessarily prepared to move forward with criminal charges.
Although they are making the recommendation to a district attorney who has been pretty forthright about advancing this case.
That's true. That's true, except that, in my view, if they were truly serious, because look, we know what the evidence is in Georgia mostly. They have the tape. So the question is what to do with it.
Dan Abrams, thanks very much. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.